Hi everyone, I'm Chef Julia Dunaway, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Ultimate Weight Loss Bundle. It's released from February 3rd through the 12th, 2023. It's a 10-day offer, so if you're watching this after that time period, it's over. So, but if you're watching it now and it's currently going on, I hope you take advantage of it. A bundle is really a collection of contributions from a number of sources and resources. So for example, this bundle has over 100 and I think the last I looked about 110 different contributions. And they're everything from ebooks to e-courses to workouts, presentations, cooking classes from plant-based doctors, chefs, creators, and it's all focused on whole food, plant-based, no oil, weight loss kind of oriented content. So, and some things are very directed toward weight loss. There are some actual courses and ebooks around areas such as binge eating, which I found to be very helpful, even though I didn't think I really struggled with it. After I started looking at the course from a contributor about binge eating, I thought that it was very helpful. It was helpful to me. It was by Julie Lance. It was called How to Stop Binge Eating and Start Living Again. I really liked that. And there's a yoga teacher certification course. There is the Mary's mini course, if you've ever been curious about Mary McDougall's mini course that helps people get off of a plateau or make some progress. I thought that was a good one. PBNSG, Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, has contributed a 170-page cookbook. So there are lots of things, and of course, last but not least, I developed a whole new ebook just for the bundle. And it's an ebook, but I printed it out so I would have a copy of it to show and to look at, because you know I'm kind of old school. I like printed things. But my beautiful ebook, beautiful to me anyway, my daughter helped me with it, has 70 recipes, all plant-based Japanese. And I really loved making this ebook because I wrote a story about my mother, my Japanese mother, and have a nice picture of her and my father and their story. And I grew up eating Japanese food. My mother was Japanese. She died several years ago, but that's how I became so interested in Asian food, because I grew up in a household where I got to eat it and enjoy it. And I lived in Japan for about 4 years. So my contribution new to the bundle was my ebook called Plant-Based Japanese that I'll be selling for $25 once the bundle's over. But for now, you can get this whole set of 110 plus different contributions for $49. And that's just during that period from February 3 to 12. So if you don't get it then, it's not going to be available later. Now, it's a lot of stuff, and what you do is you download it, or you get the information on how to get to the link to take the class. But you don't have to download all of it. I know in the last bundle I was involved in, people were so worried about having all of this content that they didn't want. Well, you don't have to download all of it. You can pick and choose which ones you really want. So for example, I went through all the different contributions, the courses, the ebooks, and some of course were not that interesting to me, and so I just said, okay, no, I don't really want to look at that one. But there were so many that were, and if I started adding up all the ones that I like personally, and I have lots of stuff, so I really don't need any more things to look at any time of the day. I have things I haven't read at home, but I found several that I really wanted to look at. I found Kathy Hester, who I really like. She contributed 3 of her most popular classes: the stews for the Instant Pot, a dehydrator class, which I've always wanted to know how to really work with dehydrators, and I'm going to really look at that one, and then an air fryer fun. And everyone always wants to know about how to use the air fryer right. I get that all the time. People have an air fryer, but everything they cook in it doesn't turn out. So I'm anxious to look at Kathy Hester's. And then a friend of mine, Elspeth Feldman, the Speedy Vegan, she contributed an ebook from recipes from Costa Rica. So I love everything she does. So I've just been taking notes about all the things in here, everything from the Vegan Booty book, a guide to sculpting a peachy vegan body. Now who doesn't want that? I could use that. So anyway, if you decide to do it, great. I hope you do. If not, just buy my ebook at some point if you want it. But I'm doing a series of videos with recipes from my new ebook, and I really wanted to start with an intro about this bundle so you kind of understand what it is. But remember, it doesn't come out until February 3rd, and it's over February the 12th. So don't wait around, because if you don't get it, you won't get another chance. And please use the link that is in the show notes or provided in whatever message that comes with this video, so that you can use that link that applies to my account, so I'll get credit for it. Otherwise, I won't get any credit for you purchasing it through me. So thank you very much for your support, and I hope you decide to get the bundle. I really do think it's worth whatever you pay for it, and you will get lots of value from it. So thank you, and now I'm going to start making some videos. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, I'm Chef Julia Dunaway, and today I'm going to be making a recipe from my new ebook called Plant-Based Japanese. And this ebook, I've printed it out so I could have it to show you, but it is an electronic book, and it's available at my website, chef-julia.com. And it's also part of a bundle that was released February 3rd through the 12th, 2023. So this video was in part to kind of promote the bundle that was full of all kinds of contributions that you could get. And if it's during that week, of course, you can still get it. But if it's not, you can still use the ebook, get the ebook, and use the recipe. But Sesame Ginger Tofu is this, and Sesame Ginger Tofu has to be my most requested recipe of all time. People always ask me, how do you make the tofu? How do you make the tofu? And I've made it so many times on videos, but it's usually as part of something else. So then it's really hard to find, because people look on YouTube and they don't see a specific recipe for sesame ginger tofu. So I thought, I just need to make that. So it's in the ebook, so I decided I'll just make that one recipe. So I made some already so you could see it, and I'm going to make some more, but it's beautiful. Look at it. It's nice and firm, and it's chewy, and it has a beautiful color. And I made this in the regular oven. I didn't even use an air fryer. So I'm going to teach you how I made it, and it's pretty simple, but it does have a few steps. So you start out with, people always want to know, well, what kind of tofu do I get? And I always buy the organic tofu. You can get this at a regular grocery store. It's called Nasoya, extra firm. You could also use firm. Firm works just as fine. And then what I do, I got scallions on my knife, I just kind of cut down the very sides. Be careful that you don't cut the tofu. You want to just cut the side of the container so that you can get the tofu out. Try not to do it in a way that you're going to cut your hand either. And then while I'm doing that, of course, I'm also getting some of the water out, because tofu is packed in water. And if your tofu got punctured, and that does happen sometimes, and it has leaked, and your tofu will go bad, it will smell terrible. It will have a real sour smell. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like a terrible smell. You'll know the tofu, fresh tofu shouldn't smell like anything but nothing, just like, it doesn't smell like anything really. But if there's a smell to it, then it's gone bad, and don't use it. That has happened to me a couple times, and I think the packaging gets punctured. So I wrap it in paper towels, just, lightly. And then the next thing is I want to get all the moisture out of it, because then it'll absorb the marinade a lot better. So what I have a collection of these cotton towels. I get them on Amazon. You can just use like a regular kitchen towel, but sometimes the kitchen towels pick up the scent of the laundry soap or fabric softener or whatever. So I make sure that I keep these cotton towels for cooking. I wash them separately, not with the regular laundry. I just use them for cooking only. So I have a special, just a bunch of them I bought them, like you could buy a dozen at a time. So I wrap it in that, and then I simply put a cutting board over the top of the tofu and rest it. I'll put it behind me out of the way on the counter. And then I take a heavy object. This is a heavy book. It's called The Book of Tofu and Miso. It's really a good book, but it's big and heavy. I'm going to put that on top. And what that does is that will kind of press the tofu, but it presses it gently. Yeah, you can get a tofu press, like a plastic box that you screw the sides in, but the problem with the plastic tofu presses sometimes is they crush the edges of the tofu. And so you'll end up, the edges will be kind of mashed up and they don't look very good. So instead, what you end up, if you do it my way, here's one I did earlier today. I pressed it and it got all the moisture out, but look how it maintained the sides are nice and square still. Sometimes with the pressing kit, it would like crush the sides. So I didn't really like that. And plus, it's just another gadget you have to get out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the tofu. And this is another question that people always ask, like, well, they cut it in weird shapes. And I just tell them, well, it's simple. Cut your tofu in half, cut each half in half, and cut each of those halves in half. And you will have 8 equal slabs. And it's as simple as that. And that's how I always cut it for just regular old sesame ginger tofu. Now, sometimes I cut it into cubes. So if I were to cut this into cubes, I would just take a couple of slabs, and I'm not going to cut it, well, I guess I could show you. So let's say I wanted cubes, like what I would use for a tofu bowl. Then I would take the slabs and cut them in half lengthwise. Then I would rotate them, cut them in half again, and cut each half in half. So basically just remember, you're always cutting things in half and cutting those halves in half, and what you end up getting, or you get, all completely uniform size pieces. And that's good if you're making like a bowl and you want little cubes of tofu. But for my recipe today, I really just want planks of tofu. So I'm gonna put them in this glass container, and then I'll put my little cubes in there too. And you can also use a gallon Ziploc plastic bag if you don't want to use a glass container. But I like to use a glass container because, it's reusable. All right, so now we're going to measure out our ingredients for the sesame ginger tofu marinade. And they're pretty simple. We start out with soy sauce. And this takes 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. And of course, my tablespoons are not here. So I'm going to use... I think I have everything here that I need, and then it's not hard. 4 tablespoons is 1/4 of a cup of soy sauce. I just know that, so I don't have to worry. And my cups are right here. So then we add, and this is low sodium soy sauce. No sodium is very low in sodium, but this is lower than other stuff. And yes, I do use a soy sauce with sodium in it because I'm half Japanese and I grew up eating things with soy sauce, and I don't think I'll ever give up soy sauce. I may cut back, but I'm never going to completely give it up. So I try to use as little as possible. Okay, so 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of tahini. This is a 2 tablespoon measuring cup, but you can put more. So you could put 2 tablespoons of tahini, and it really makes it taste a lot richer. So don't be afraid if you don't mind, because there's fat in tahini. Put a couple of tablespoons of tahini in your sesame ginger soy sauce, and it will taste really, really sesame flavored. It really does make it taste good. But I try not to overdo the tahini because, tahini does have a lot of fat in it. But a little goes a long way. So, put some tahini in it. Just don't go crazy. And then I mix it. And the tahini that I use is Mighty Sesame Tahini. It's very liquid and pourable and easy to use. It squeezes out. You don't have to get a jar out and mix it and mess with it. And they sell this on Amazon. It's in my Amazon store. Very easy to locate. If you all you have to do is Google Chef Julia's Amazon store, and it'll pop up. And I do earn from qualifying purchases. So if you buy stuff through my store, I do get some credit for it. Not very much, but I'm supposed to tell you that. Okay, so sesame ginger tofu has ginger in it. And yes, it's fresh ginger. However, I keep my ginger in the freezer. And I cut it up into chunks, and then I just keep this in the freezer. And then what happens is when I want to use it, I just take it out. It's been washed. I take it out, and it grates incredibly well when it's frozen. And I also then don't have the issue that you get when you put your ginger in the drawer of your refrigerator. And I want like a good tablespoon of ginger. And if you love ginger and you're like a super fan of ginger, you can put more. I think it can get overpowering, so I try not to put too much more than that. So my recipe says a teaspoon, but this looks like more than a teaspoon, but it's frozen, so it tends to look like more because it's kind of plumped up when you grate it. So that really is about a teaspoon if I were to press it down. So don't think more is better with ginger and get carried away, because I've seen people do that and ginger can ruin a dish if it's overpowering. And then this is a garlic clove. And I'm grating that too, because by grating it, it's very small and it doesn't cause you to get the too garlicky flavor that sometimes is off-putting. So we're just gonna get this garlic clove grated until you can't do it safely anymore. And then it's surprising, if you slap your microplane grater on the board, then you get a nice teaspoon of garlic. So I have garlic, ginger, tahini, soy sauce, and those 4 things are all you need to make this sesame ginger tofu. And that combination, especially using fresh ginger and fresh garlic, is so good, and it's absorbed into our nice pressed tofu, so it will really flavor this tofu and make it taste wonderful. If you wanted to change up your marinade, and let's say that you thought, well, you know, that I like it to have a little sweetness, I want it to have kind of a, you know, like a Korean bulgogi flavor, well, you could add more garlic and you could add some date syrup and make it kind of have a little sweetness to it. I'm kind of moving it around to get both sides of it in the marinade. So, you know, feel free to experiment. You can also make it spicy. You could put some red bell or red chili flakes in it, or you can put sriracha in it and add that, and you can throw some scallions in here. That's kind of the Korean tofu, has scallions, date syrup, hot spice, some kind of red chili flakes, and the date syrup, and that's really, really good. But this is my basic sesame ginger tofu that everybody's asking for all the time. And then they want to know, well, how do you prepare it? So the simplest way is, first of all, let the marinade soak in. So I would just like set this aside on the counter. I would turn it once, you know, just to get the marinade on both sides. And then, you know, after that, and I'm not going to really have time to, you know, let it sit here and marinate. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the board so you can see, I mean on the sheet pan. So let's say that it's been about 20 minutes and I marinated the tofu, and actually you don't even have to let it sit that long. You could take it right now, just like I'm doing. I've done this before because I've been in a hurry, and I've just basically put the marinade on both sides. See, I'm turning it over as I'm getting it out, so both sides get the marinade. And I've done this exact thing where I've just taken it, put it right on the pan, didn't even let it sit around, and it's fine. And then these small pieces I'm just going to kind of mix up, and I'll put these out here. And then what I like to do is put it in a 400-degree oven for about 25 minutes, sometimes 30. Depends on how dark I want it. This kind of left it in 25 minutes, so that's about all I needed. So I'll probably do 25 minutes. And that's it. I don't turn it or anything. I just put it in the oven for 25 minutes. And then I take it out and it looks like this. So I'll go ahead and put it in there and let it get started. But you've already got to see this one here. And so then what did I put on top of it? I put some of my mother's teriyaki sauce on it. It's called Tommie's Teriyaki Sauce. And this recipe is also in the ebook, Plant-Based Japanese. And I will put this recipe with this video as well, because that way you'll have it. But teriyaki sauce is nothing more than soy sauce, mirin, a little bit of some kind of sugar. Oops. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was smart. I've got the flame going over here. Just burnt my kitchen towel. Wow. I've got I've got my pan with water in it for my next recipe. So, well, it does smell kind of smoky in here. All right, so the teriyaki sauce recipe will be in this recipe. And it's nothing more than soy sauce, mirin, and date sugar, cane sugar, some kind of sugar. But if you look at it, it looks pretty. It's just absolutely lovely to put on there. But do you have to use teriyaki sauce on your recipes? No, you don't have to use teriyaki sauce. I just use it because part of my ebook was talking about my mother, and this was something she always had for us, and we had it at our house all the time. And it was just a family thing that we always had her teriyaki sauce. And I noticed that a company has come out with a teriyaki sauce called Banchan's sauce. Bachan sauce, which is a teriyaki sauce. And bachan is like a bachan, which is grandmother. So they had like grandma's teriyaki sauce, but they bottled theirs, and it's very similar to mine, except they added a couple other things. So you don't have to put that on there, but my family likes it. I usually don't put it on mine. And there you go. There's sesame ginger tofu. So another thing that people ask me all the time is what they do to heat it up. So I have my air fryer over here, and I'm not going to do it in this video, but I've done this in other videos, and I'll do it in the one called Sesame Ginger Tofu Bowl. And that's where I take the already cooked tofu. Let's say that's tomorrow, and I made this today, and it's tomorrow, and I want to heat it up. Well, I put the tofu in the air fryer for like 5 minutes at 350. And that will crisp up the outside, and it makes it really good. So that's what we'll do for the next recipe, which is the Sesame Ginger Tofu Bowl with vegetables. Well, then you'll see how we can put this to use. So I hope you make the Sesame Ginger Tofu. Remember, it's in the ebook called Plant-Based Japanese. The ebook is part of a bundle from February 3rd to the 12th, 2023 only, 10 days. The bundle is for sale for $49 for $6,000 worth of stuff, including all kinds of e-courses, e-books, books, everything you can think of. So it's a really good value. But if it's past the bundle offering and you just want my ebook's always available at chef-julia.com. And the recipe and all that information will be in the show notes. So thanks for watching. And I know if you make this, you're going to love it. The Sesame Ginger Tofu, my most popular dish. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.